All right, welcome. It is August the 7th. It's interesting when the Tuesday falls so much later in the month than in the beginning. It really messes me up. But it is August the 7th, 2018. This is the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs. I'm Karen, the president. We have several people in the room, and some will trickle in as we get started as well. And before we get started, I wanted to introduce you to information about our conference coming up, and pray for us, and let Linda Goldfarb speak to us a second time in a short period of time. We're so glad that she's willing to come back because we were so interested and intrigued by the things that she taught us on caring for our clients. We wanted her to speak again on having really powerful presentations. So the theme of this month, the month of August, is powerful presentations. Linda, you raised your hand. Linda's supposed to be in the not Linda, Lillian. She's supposed to be in the dental chair. So we might ask you to type in the chat room what questions you might have, and we'll help you out that way. Quickly, the biggest thing coming up for the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs is our Take Flight to Success annual conference, live conference. We do a lot of online virtual conferences and seminars, and we do an educational emphasis just like this every single Tuesday of the whole year, which really adds to our awesome classroom. But once a year, we actually get together face to face. We've done a few small trips together. We went on a mission trip to Guatemala in May, but this is our biggie. So we hope you'll join us September 14th and 15th here in my hometown, McKinney, Texas, a little bit north of Dallas, for a 2-day conference. We'll have a meet and greet actually the night before if you come in early enough. And then we'll have our conference September 14th and 15th, where we have different speakers, breakout sessions, and that sort of thing. We feed you, we pamper you. We'll have a photographer there to take headshots if you need a brand new headshot, and we'll have some fun. We always have some fun. So we hope you'll join us. If you go to our website, NACWE.org, and click on the top right-hand corner, it'll say Conference 2018, big yellow button. You'll find out everything you didn't even know you needed to ask about the conference, but you can also email us or contact us on Facebook if you have questions. So God bless you. We hope to see you there. You can advertise in the magazine if you're too far away and you're not going to be able to come by. Lots of options. You'll see them all when you click on the button. God bless. So let me pray us in. Father God, we're grateful, grateful, grateful for technology, for the ability to reach out and meet new people, even people sitting in a dentist chair. We're grateful for just the opportunities as people pop in and the things that we're learning, the way that these experts add such value to our classroom that it just goes on and on for miles. We're grateful that you have answers for our questions, solutions to our problems, and that you have given us what we need, equipped us to be wonderful entrepreneurs, women in business and ministry. And we just pray that we are women in business and ministry that please you, Lord, that bring you glory and honor every step of the way, that point people to the Redeemer. We definitely want our presentations to honor you. And so we're grateful that Linda's here today, Lord, and we just pray a special blessing on her, on the technology, on her ability to focus, on her ability to connect with the audience. And then we lift up those who will also watch this video later, watch the replays and everything later in the classroom. Lord, give us great wisdom and discernment today. Help us to do what pleases you today. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. Okay, let me stop share me. Are you ready? Veteran that you are. You're muted. You are muted. There you go. Uh-oh.
Good.
There you go.
Oh,
okay.
You hear me? Am I
yes.
good?
So I'm going to mute me and
okay.
Let you go.
Okay. Yay. Okay. So I have, let me see. I am moving my little bar so I can see everyone, try to see everyone who's in the house. and you may need to cue me if there are some questions or comments as we go through this. This is going to be an interactive time, and I will say thank you once again to NACWE and to Karen for inviting me to come and just share some of what I've learned through the ages of being a professional presenter, being in the speaking arena for like 30 years, and international venues. I travel frequently, and I've been allowed multiple opportunities to be on different stages across the world. And the concept of platform is what we're going to be looking at part of today. We're going to look at how you present yourself when you're looking at particular areas, such as, I'm going to grab my stuff. I hope that you do have your handouts with you. And looking at becoming a speaker of excellence, we're going to look at some different things: how to own your platform, to know your products, to plan for the unthinkable. Also, we're going to look at mirroring your audience for maximum results. So we're going to look at how you can know your audience, posture your audience, and also become your audience. And that may be an odd phrase, but I think you'll get it once we go through it. And then knowing that there's power in the right props, and why we use props, what kind of props do we use, and just more like that. So I think that this is really something, if we can embrace it right now, it's going to help us. And it doesn't matter your platform. It doesn't matter if you are a writer, at some point you will speak. If you are a coach, you have an audience, you have a platform. If you have a message, at some point you're going to be asked to speak in different venues. We're going to look at that. So this is all part of the being remembered for your message and not your mistakes. And looking at how you can present your message with pop, power, and pizzazz. So this is what we're going to be looking at today. And I am your coach for this afternoon. And I invite you to think of me that way, and let's use part of what we have today, the time that we have today, that to be able to interact together, to do some brainstorming, and for me to be able to maybe answer some questions immediately for those that are in the house. So if you're in the house, you may get some stuff today that those that listen to the replay won't get, but maybe what you ask and how we work together, maybe it will help them along the way as well, okay? So we're going to look at the first section, and this is Become a Speaker of Excellence. And I cover owning your platform. That means, and it's going to be specific things. Say you're a Sunday school teacher, okay? We'll get there. And you have to know where you're standing. If it's the front of the room, that's your stage area. If you have a small room, if you have a large room, where is it that you can or how can you maximize where your location is to the benefit of your audience? We're always thinking about the audience. What will work best for them? So this is something to consider. I don't know how many of you, and I don't know if there's a way for me to see this, how many of you, if I go over here, I'm going to see if I can see more of us, and I don't know that I can. Not everyone, I don't see everyone's faces, but how many of you are speakers? Is there a way for me to get that answer? I would like to know how many of you speak to audiences or have an opportunity to stand in front of audiences. Okay, I'm looking up here in the chat. And in the chat room, that's what we want to have. I want to have the chat room here. And okay, so Deborah speaks at writers' conferences. Lily, I'm not a public speaker, but I do record audiobooks. Excellent, most excellent. And this actually helps, Lillian, also because know your environment. You can see me or before I put up my share screen, I'm in my own recording studio. So like you, Lillian, if I am recording an audio book or recording an audio presentation, I have to be aware of my surroundings. I have to be aware of, because that at that moment is my presentation. So this will work for you as well. And Karen, you're an international speaker. These are all great. And there may be some of you that are listening that are live right now where you're like, well, I don't necessarily have what we call a large platform. But wherever you speak from, and even in your writing, wherever you write from, you need to own your platform. So looking at the stage, let's just look at this area here. And as you have some questions, go ahead and write them down, and then I'll pause in between each of our sections and give you the opportunity to ask them. And you can write them in the chat room as we go through, and I'll answer them along the way. So owning your platform.
Can I just say,
yes.
let us know if you want to pop in verbally. Deborah, you're unmuted, and I'm wondering if you wanted to pop in.
No, I don't know how I got unmuted.
I might have been trying to unmute me and unmuted you, but y'all type in the chat room if you want to pop in or unmute yourself, and I'll notice it and I can get you in.
Absolutely. And can everyone see the screen well? Okay, perfect. All right, so we're looking at really how to become a speaker of excellence. So we own your platform, and that means considering your stage. Where are you standing? If you are on a large platform, you look at where you're standing and in comparison to the audience. You want the audience members to be center. And as the speaker, as someone who, even at a conference, I know we have some conference speakers here, we want the group to be in the center. And you can ask that. You can ask them. Those at the venue and say, you know, when my group comes in, I would really like them more centrally located. And sometimes you'll have people that'll go off to the different sides, but if you do that, your body's going to have to turn a lot during that time. I know you can't see me right now, but right now I'm turning in my chair, going back and forth. But your body will have to turn a lot in order for you to engage the entire audience. So ask them to be seated in a center format, whether it's in, pews, chairs, whatever. The more condensed they are, the better your eye contact with them, the better the engagement that you have. But you need to recognize where you're going to be standing on your stage area. Is someone coming in before you? Are you coming in after somebody else? Does someone need to come in quickly after you? That way you need to know, am I going to get on and off? Do I need to do that quickly? That will help us understand, do I need just a lectern, just to stand by itself? Do I need a podium? Do I need an extra table? What do I need to have on the stage area with me in order for me to conduct my message with excellence? And those that are bringing you in, the presenters, those who are presenting you, they need this information. They need it ahead of time. I would love to have a small table that's going to be up on the stage with me. And do you have something that can cover it? Especially if you're flying. If you're in a vehicle going to a destination, a lot of times you can bring your own stuff, but they still need to know that you're going to need X amount of space on the stage, where you're standing, and how much room that you need as well. I have been in several situations where they have a huge band sit up behind you and very limited space for you to be. And it's always good to let them know ahead of time that you're going to need, like 6 feet of space. You're going to walk back and forth. You need access to step down off of your platform if it is a raised platform. If it is a floor level platform, you need to be sure and engage with the eyes of your audience. So you're going to need to go in ahead of time, look around, look at what the seating is going to be like, just so you'll be familiar with that. Maybe there's going to be some areas that might be blocked because there's a pillar on the right-hand side, and people put chairs behind the pillar. But you know you're going to be walking and they will be blocked. So just observe your platform, observe where you're standing. And this is a physical platform. Next, the next bullet for audience interaction. I love to interact with my audience. I want them to know that I am real, that I am not just someone who dropped in, and I love to be able to step down and go in among the audience members. We'll talk about equipment in just a minute as far as your microphones and your sound, because those are very important. So what kind of audience interaction do you have? What do you have planned? What would you like to have? Do you want an audience member to come up on stage with you? If you're going to have that happen, I've got one of my talks where I actually bring 5 people up at one time and we interlock on the stage area, because I do a talk on the redwood trees. And in that, I talk about how the roots of the trees are shallow, but the trees can grow to 360 feet in height. But with shallow roots, if they're by themselves, the storms come in and could blow them over. But the roots interlock underneath the ground. So I actually have the women interlock their legs with each other at the ankle. And it's a great presentation. It's a wonderful visual. But I need the stage. Do you see what I'm saying? I need to make sure that I have that. If not, I won't have the impact that I want to have when I'm doing my presentation. And your presenter, those that are bringing you in, they have no idea. So you need to let them know, there's one part, this is what I do. I really need to have this wide area, if at all possible, for everyone in the audience to be able to see that, okay? So on interaction, if you like to get down and among the people in your audience, is there enough space to walk between them? Do you need multiple aisles so that you can go in? And I, on some of the times that I go and speak, depending on the topic, depending on the venue, there'll be times I may be led to go in and touch someone on the shoulder, and I might have spontaneous prayer time with that person right there. Well, I want to make everything open to the Lord to use me as He desires. So if I know that something may happen during a presentation, I will ask that I have space to be able to come down and walk among the audience members. This is something for you to consider. What kind of audience interaction do you require so that your talk is one of excellence? Then let's consider photography. No one loves to have their picture taken, but it will happen. And is the lighting worth taking pictures under? You're going to have to think about that. Is there enough light? If I do a fun thing. I sat under the teaching of Florence Littauer. You may know who she is with class seminars, and Florence is an incredible mentor of mine. And she would always talk about the number of times people would take photos of her, and then they'd show them to her, and she was like, well, they were terrible photos. And I laughed and laughed until I had people start sending me photos of my talks. And I knew exactly what she was talking about because my mouth was wide open, or I was leaning the wrong way, it was just like, oh my goodness sakes, I wouldn't want anyone to see this photo. And so she taught us all how to pause and pose. And I know it sounds kind of silly, but if you do that, not only are you helping yourself to have a memorable photograph, but you're also doing it for the individual who is coming up and taking the time to take the picture. They don't want something blurry. They don't want something with your mouth looking wonky. So you may even say, and I have done this on several occasions, especially if I'm doing a retreat or where, you know, I want to get personal with the people that are in there. And I'll say, now, I know there's going to be some of you at some point who thinks, you know what, I just need to document Linda with a photograph. And so if you're going to do that, if you come over to this side over here and I'm talking, I will promise to do my best to give you a photo that you will be proud of. And so it makes it kind of fun. Now, it may be also with photography because you are owning your platform. This is your platform. You need to let them know if photographs are allowed. You need to let those that are bringing you in know if videotaping is allowed. If you have your copywritten material, and maybe you already have a videotape of it, then you're not going to want someone to videotape the material. And this is where you ask those that are introducing you to make that announcement. It's not an announcement that you want to make from the platform. I have been part of a professional theater group for many, many, many years. And we have found that people thought it was okay to videotape our entire presentation. And they're like, well, we'll just show it to the school the next time, the next year. And so we're like going, this is copywritten material. You can't just videotape it and use it at your own choice. There's a reason why we charge. And so we had to start implementing stuff in there that, you know, videotaping is not allowed, but still photography is absolutely fine. And we will allow time after the presentation for a group photograph. But consider if you want photographs taken, if you're an individual that you really just don't want people taking pictures of you and it makes you nervous, let the presenter know. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe afterwards you can say, you know, we'll have time afterwards for photos, but if you want to concentrate on what you're doing, make them aware. This really helps me if we don't have any photography done during the presentation. So on this portion right there, on the staging portion, does anyone have any questions? If you would, in the chat room, just let me know if you're good to go. Just either put a thumbs up or put okay, and we'll move on to the next one and we'll talk about equipment. So Deborah's okay. And let me see, because if someone has a question, we can pause here for a minute and go to something that would be more along the lines for your particular. Let me see. Okay, the only one I see in the chat room right now is Deborah, but I'm guessing everyone else is okay. Because I don't see any questions. Okay, you think we're good to go on, Karen? Okay, no questions, great. All right, let's consider on owning your platform, let's consider your equipment. There are microphone options that are out there. You have the handheld mic, which is kind of the traditional. Now you can have it be wireless or it can be wired. That may be what you're asked. What type of microphone do you prefer? I am one, if you could see me right now, I'm one who speaks with my hands. So having a handheld microphone, I would have my face chasing my hand all over the platform. I have in the past, I've used lapel mics and they are great. If they are strong enough, they normally require you to wear a belt of some kind or attach it to your pants. Just be aware of this in what you wear. A lot of times I will wear a long outer garment so that I can attach the microphone receiver onto my belt or at the back of my outfit, and people aren't seeing it. I try not to put it on the side because it just makes your hips bigger. I try not to put it in the front because it makes you look like you have a little pooch. So I try to stick it in the back, and then I drop the cord down my back and it comes up and I put it on my lapel. Now, The next one is my favorite, and it's a Countryman microphone. This is the over-the-ear microphone, but they are very expensive, so not all places carry it. But if you are a speaker and you're going to be speaking a lot, this may be something you decide to invest in, to take your own microphone. That way you know that it's working, that you know that it's going to do exactly what you need to do. And these are normally the microphone options that are available out there. For those of you that say, well, my voice is loud enough, I really don't need a microphone, I will highly, highly encourage you. For one who had to have vocal cord surgery due to nodules on my vocal cords, and then the years it took for me to be able to get back to what I would consider my normal self, please do not strain your voice trying to speak loudly in an auditorium. Utilize the microphone. Please, please, please. It will save you down the road. It absolutely will. Okay. Now, I'm looking over here at the group chat. Photography, it reminds me of the movie Madagascar, where the lion does all those pre-planned crazy. Oh, yes, absolutely. Those are the ones that I'm talking about. Yes, 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 Karen. I make sure you have the foot back, the other foot in the front, your angle just slightly, your hands are open to the microphone, and you have that little dipped chin where your mouth is open just ever so slightly, and it elongates your neck. There's so many ways that we could do this. Yes, I wish you were seeing my face. But anyway, these are great, great little tips to have. And yes, oh yeah, before you do the conference, absolutely. This is going to be very helpful for you. Now, Deborah asked, how do we learn to project our voice? Rarely do the venues I speak at have microphones. Excellent, excellent question, Deborah. When you breathe, here's the question. All of you where you're seated at right now, put your hands on your knees, sit up nice and straight and tall. There you go. And the only one I can see is Karen, so she's going to be I'm going to be able to see her in this. Now what I'd like you to do is I would like for you to take a very big breath and then let it out. Deep breath and then let it out. There you go. Do one more time, deep breath and let it out. Now, if you found your shoulders going up and down while you were breathing, you're breathing through your chest. You're using your chest, and most likely you use your chest voice. If your diaphragm, though, which is lower down below your rib cage, if your stomach goes out and goes back in when you breathe, it most likely will be doing it when you're talking and you're using your diaphragm. From your diaphragm, you can get a lot more energy from the diaphragm, and you can choose to project way across the wall, all the way across the room, raising your voice so that it maintains clarity, but you have to practice this. Okay, so Kim said her stomach moved. Excellent. It's looking in front of a mirror. Do my shoulders go up or down? Watch people when they sing. Most of your professionals, their shoulders don't go up and down, but non-professionals, watch the choirs at church. Look at a lot of people, and every time they take a breath, their shoulders go up. It's like they're shrugging their shoulders going, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. But what we want to do is to be able to use, yes, and that's right, Karen, you do. You sing, and so when you sing, you know how to be able to bring that breath from your diaphragm. Okay, girls, here's a great way to increase your diaphragm strength. Are you ready? You'll get down on the floor. Don't do it right now because you're going to miss what we're going to have coming next. You're going to get down on the floor. You're going to lay on your back. You're going to put something that can topple on your tummy. And what you're going to do is you're just going to push out and bring back in. Breathe in and make sure that your diaphragm expands. So what you're wanting to do is to move. Now, I've done it with quarters and pennies. They're smaller, but I know if I'm forceful enough, I can get them to kind of shift over on my body a little bit. And it's helping me to concentrate on my diaphragm to be able to do that. These are just fun little things that you can do. And then while you're down there, you can do some crunches, turn over and do some planks. Those are all great too. That kind of the start of a morning exercise routine. but that's something that you can try there. So Deborah, I hope that that helps for you. And always warm up your voice. When you're going to speak, you may speak to people on a regular basis, but like what I'm doing right now, for some people, they'll be talking and talking and talking, and then afterwards their throat hurts, or they're feeling lethargic. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that I have practiced speaking, I'm going through what it is I'm going to say, I'm looking at my timing, and to be able to walk through that as easily as possible. And if you're speaking this outside, if you're speaking this out loud, it will help you to prepare your voice. Okay, great. Yes, I would love to see everyone on the floor too. When they're doing it, for them to take little diaphragm photos. We're increasing our diaphragm. We're making it work. Yeah, okay. All right, now we're gonna, and the last part of owning your platform, we're gonna be looking at sound. And on the sound, it's, Deborah says, I don't usually use sound equipment when I'm someplace, but what if you need to show a PowerPoint? What if you need to show different things? You need to know what's available there. You need to know that they have a screen projector, which would be the other part of the sound. You need to know that everything is available unless you're going to bring something of your own. And there's so many more portable gadgets available today. And the other thing that I do when we're thinking about sound and a piece of equipment, and you're going to have to write this on your paper, get yourself a voice recorder. I use an Olympus recorder, and it has a USB extender on it where I record sessions. I record every time I speak, and then I can take it apart, plug it into my computer, and download it onto my computer and make an MP3 file from that. So, and you can have, it has where you can connect to a little lapel recording so that it's recording your voice. And just remember, if you are recording, and here's a bonus tip, if you are recording or someone else is doing a video recording of you because you've asked them to, maybe that's part of your payment, that they're going to videotape your session. This is an excellent way to get paid without them putting money out, is have them record your session. But if they do and you have interaction with the audience, you must remember to repeat the question. Always, always repeat the question that's being asked from the audience before you answer it. And that way, when you have that recording, it's not going to have, okay, and what's your question? And then there's silence, and then you answer it, and the person listening doesn't even know what the question was. So always make sure that you repeat the question that's being asked from the audience. So on the sound, basically, you're wanting to make sure that it is exactly what you need for your presentation, that it will meet all of your needs, or is there something else that you need to bring? Okay? Okay. We will go ahead and move on to the next one. As a speaker of excellence, you must know your product. You must know your product. And that means to create what I call be prepared for the A to D outline. An A to D outline means you know where you're going to start, which is your A. You know where you're going to end, that's your D. You know what your beginning is. You know what your ending is. If something should happen, then you know where you're going to start, and you know how you're going to end it, and your variable lies in the middle. When you'll need your pen and paper. When you are presenting, creating a presentation, one of the things that we always taught in class, and I've heard it said all different ways. I've heard the term peer, P-I-E-R. I've heard the term P-E-E-R. I've heard the term spit. Whenever you're creating a presentation, these are four key things to keep on the forefront, you know you must do. If we're looking at PIER, P-I-E-R, you must have a point. There's a point to your message. If you don't have a point, then really it is literally pointless. There's a quote that Florence has said over and over again: writers should be speaking and speakers should write as long as what they offer has value. So what your value is your point. You're wanting to make a point. With that point, you're going to have the I is instruction. You've got to give them, you've got to call them to action. There's got to be something that you're going to want them to do with the point that you're making. The E is going to be examples. Personal examples work best. If you are an expert in an area, you use your personal examples when you are teaching others, and that way they get to know you and they really know that you know what you're talking about. And R is referencing. What are the references? It's not just Linda says, but here's when you bring in statistics. Here's where you bring in quotes. Here's where you bring in, I was recently at a such and such, and I learned there that this. Maybe there's a book that you want to promote. So with your point, you have instruction, and you have an example or experience, and then you have the references. What makes it valid beyond it being just your opinion and thought? And that's the same, I think, with the SPIT, S-P-I-T. Yeah, I'm not even going to go through that one. You don't need that one. It's okay. PIER works for everybody. So that helps you with the A to D outline. That's basically what it is. I could actually change that to P to R outline, and that would make more sense. But anyway, it's knowing that you're going to have, there's a point that you want to make. There's a takeaway at the end. That's going to be the leave of instruction that you give them. And then you're going to share examples and you're going to share references. Look at your timeline. If you have a lot of information, but a little amount of time, you can only share so much. Be true to the timeline, the amount of time that you have. Normally, if you have 30 minutes, you can make a couple points. If you have 15 minutes, 1 point. If you have an hour, 3-4 points. That's what you're going to want to stay with, okay? Minimal prompts. When you are using a PowerPoint, if the PowerPoint is going to be your area, that's good, Kim, but I'm going to be really bad because is PIER spelled, how is PIER spelled? P-E-I-R or P-I-E-R? Whichever way that is correct, and think of yourself on a pier and you're standing out in your audience. But yes, point, example, instruction, references. Perfect. Thank you so much, Kim, for putting that out there. But use minimal prompts. If you use a PowerPoint, don't have 10 tons of information on the PowerPoint. People can't see it. So what you want to do is give them a handout if that's what you want them to do. A lot of people do their own. Some people, they have their ways doing it, but you don't need a lot of prompts you need to know your product well enough to be able to get from A to D. So use minimal prompts for your presentation. And then plan for the unthinkable. What happens if you get there and you've lost your material? Here's true example, Storybook Theater. We're traveling out of state and one of our luggage pieces does not go. And it happens to have some of the costuming of the presentation that we're doing. We're doing Two Pigs and T.H.E. Wolf. It is very difficult to be pigs and wolves when you don't have some of their costumes. So we plan ahead, because at that time we were like, what in the world do we do? And what we happened to do is we found a costume store, went in the last minute. The people that were waiting to go back and find our trunk, it came in, but it came in like 2 days later. So we had to change up our presentation for the older students. It worked out really great because we turned it into a teachable moment for them. But just think about it. What if you lost your material? The things to do, have it in multiple places. If you are if you are a speaker, you should have all of your talk information on thumb drives. Take all of your stuff and put them on a thumb drive. Make multiple copies of the thumb drive and have it in different places. Always carry the thumb drive with you when you are traveling. If something happens, you can pull it out, someone can print it somewhere, and you can get that done, and you won't have to worry about it. What if there's loss of power? You no longer have your PowerPoint. So you must be the PowerPoint. You must have your energy level up. You must know what it is that you want them to get, and you must choose to be engaging with your audience. We cannot be so dependent on what comes across a screen to be able to provide the truth that we need the audience to get. So we must be prepared with that. And then if you're late to the party, what happens if you show up late due to, it doesn't matter, car accident, something happens, and you had a 45-minute presentation and you walked in and you had 20 minutes left. You do it in 20 minutes. And what you do is you have to know ahead of time, wow, if I had to condense this to 20 minutes, which points do I know I have to get out to the audience, and how can I be sure that they get the rest? And so I've had to do this. And don't rush through. Don't say, well, gee, I had so much and I really wanted to get, but I ran out of time. Don't apologize. Be a speaker of excellence and step up and say, I'm going to get this done. This is how I'm going to do it. So these are areas that we can all take advantage of, I think. Okay. The next one is going to be mirroring your audience. We're going to go through this a little quickly. Know your audience. What that means is what drives them, not what drives you. What is it that they are seeking? Find their backstory. Who's sitting out there listening to you, and why does what you have to say, why is it important, and how does it impact them? Figure out what drives them. If you're going to speak at an event, and now if you're an editor and you go and you're speaking to writers, well, you kind of have an idea of what drives them. So that's pretty good. If you're a speaker and you're coming in and speaking on a particular topic, do we know what's the age demographic here? Is everyone married? Are they, are you talking to a group of singles? Who is it that you're talking to? And that way, when you prepare your message, you're not going to be offering them something that has nothing to do with them. You do not want to be the one who walks away, where someone walks away from your talk and they go, well, that was a waste of my time. It had nothing to do with me. So know who your audience is, know their backstory. When you posture your audience, what that means when we are mirroring, okay, is you've heard the term dress to impress. I lost that a long time ago because I'm like, I want to dress to connect. I want to connect with my audience. I don't want to impress anybody. I don't want someone there to think, oh, I can't be that, or oh, who is that? I want to be connectable. I want people to feel that they can absolutely, that I'm real, okay? And that falls into the physical part of it. How am I carrying myself? Am I approachable? Am I someone that someone can relate to? Maybe you're going to sit down on the side of the stage. Maybe you're going to walk out into the audience. Maybe it's something where you go, you know what? And this can help for those of us in smaller groups. A lot of times people say, well, just stand up here. We're all going to sit down in this small room. I go, you know what? I'd rather sit down in a circle with you guys. So we'll move the chairs, put it into a circle. Now I've come into the circle, and it's so much more relatable instead of someone standing up and be a mouthpiece. Okay. So consider your physical stance. People know if you know your stuff. You don't have to stand or lord it over them. Now, in some cases, you're on a big platform. People have to see you. of course, this all has to do with looking at your stage, looking what's available, everything that we've talked about before this, okay? And then the part that says become your audience, connect deeper. And there's a word you need to write down, listen. If you have the opportunity to go to where you're speaking and to be among the people before you talk, walk among them and just listen. What are they talking about? What are they discussing? What's on their hearts? You'll be amazed at conversations that you'll be given privilege to by the Holy Spirit, because He's going to want to use that. How powerful is it for you to be in listening to a speaker, and the speaker says, you know, when I was out here earlier, you know, I heard a young lady, and she was talking about that she's having a real difficult time because this is what's happening in her family. And you're not saying a name, you're just saying that you heard that. And, you know, and maybe there's a word of encouragement, maybe something that you can share that everyone goes, wow, I'm important. The person up there isn't who's important. I'm important. Reverse that importance. Connect deeper with your audience. Be relatable. I was asked by my pastor to review a video series on a Bible study from an individual for single moms. And where I live here in South Texas, we have a lot of single moms. We have our cultural demographics are across the board. We have African American, Hispanic. We have, I mean, just Anglo. We have so many, right? And so there's a lot of people that if they're a single parent and I'm working with them in my Parenting Awesome Kids, you know, their social economic status is not one that's real high. And I looked at this video, and the very beginning of the video was in almost like a mansion. And the woman was, and pardon me, she was very, very white. And she was standing on a circular stairwell saying, welcome to my home. Single women today need to know, and I'm just going, oh my word. There's no way I was a single mom. I'm like, there's no way I can relate to this. I would be put off immediately from the get-go. And so I had to tell him, I said, yeah, there's no way I would present this. No way I would have this in front of my women, because the person is not relatable. She blew me away from the beginning going, yeah, you don't even know my life. So you must be relatable. Okay. And we'll come back if we have more time at the end. And then finally, we're going to be looking at finding your prop power. Why props are powerful. Props are powerful because they're memorable, they're unique, they drive home your point. And then what props work best? This is where I would love for us to open up the microphones and for y'all to be able to tell me what you talk about. And if whatever you talk about, let's right now brainstorm your brand. What do you talk about? What kind of props could you use right now that you could go out and find? They need to be teachable. They need to be trendy, something that people are going to remember. And those are the ones that work the best for us. So I would love for someone to jump in here with me. So I'm going to need y'all to, if you will, just go ahead and open up your microphones. I don't see many mics opening up real quick. Okay, let me see. All right, we've got Deborah, this is great. I knew you'd probably jump in here. So Deborah, let's talk with you a little bit right now. Do you use props of any kind right now?
No, I don't think so. Not that I can think of.
Okay. Now, if you do use a PowerPoint can be considered a prop, okay?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I use that. I use a PowerPoint in almost all my presentations.
Okay. Now, if you use a PowerPoint, what it needs to do is it needs to represent your brand. It must have your information on it. It must have stuff that says, this is who I am. I am that,
The motivational editor.
I'm that motivational editor. I am here for you. This is what I do. And also, you know, one of the things for you, which could be fun, is considering having a caricature made of yourself that puts you in that little whimsy kind of place. Even though not everyone can pull that off, some people can. But motivational, maybe you're going to have something in your talk that you want to wake up the group. What would be something if you're talking to writers, because a lot of writers, they can be kind of somber, but what could be a prop that maybe there's a point you really want them to grab and something that could wake them up? What would that be? You have any idea?
I know. A red pen.
Okay. I'm going to give you some right now. And you can get some of these at the dollar store. Okay. Where to find props, folks? Don't spend a lot of money on your props. Okay. You can get them at the dollar store. Here's some things that you can do with writers. Writers are storytellers. Go out and buy a skein of yarn that is multicolored. A multicolored skein of yarn. And a lot of times they'll have one color, then it changes to another color. Then it changes to another color after a length of it. And if you have that, what you do is you start out, you hand the end to the first person, and you say, okay, you need to start a story for me. And when it changes colors, hand the skein to the next person. And so they start telling the story, then they hand it off to the next person. The next person has to be the one who starts continuing the story. And then it goes on and on and on like that. It's great for storytellers to be able to engage them, okay? These are just fun kind of things because as a storyteller, everyone likes a good yarn. Okay, play on words, but that's how that works. Another thing that's really great in a small group or a larger group, have you seen them? They're self-clappers. And I don't have one here with me. I should have brought it here. But it's the shape of a hand, two hands, and when you hit them, they clap with each other. Okay? You need to have a couple of those out in your audience. And when there's something that you say, and you have to find someone, you know, we've talked about the, let me see. It's all right. I'm making visuals here and you can't even see me. But we talked about the different personalities. So find the socializers in the group and the ones who get really excited, and you hand them a prop where they start clapping. Maybe it's a bell of some kind, and because they're getting excited. So when you do something, someone else starts the excitement for you. That works. Now, if they're these are props that you can find just about anywhere. Even if you're going to do something and maybe there's going to be a winner, pom-poms are great. Pom-poms are cheap. You can throw them into the audience. The audience pick them up. They can shake them over here. You have different colors. Separate the audience into different colors. And, you know, I even do it where it's with the different personalities. And just imagine, for those of you that are familiar, when you give the socializers their red pom-poms and they're going crazy with something, and then you hand out the one to the green to the organizers, and just even getting them to raise the pom-poms is going to be everything. And so then you have the blue ones that go to the Eeyores of the group, the stabilizers, and they're just going to be going, okay, this is great. But it does give you, it gives you a little bit of a break in there, okay? And the best thing to do is, of course, get a socializer to be the one who either hands them out or collects them all up. But, you know, these are just simple, very inexpensive props. There are other ones that can be used. Let me see, Karen, tell me what are some of your talking points?
Okay, so the most recent one was we went to Central America and talked to entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And, you know, we didn't take, because we were traveling, we didn't even think about taking props, but I was glad you said that even your PowerPoint is your prop. So I thought of one, we worked with one young sibling group of people whose mother had died and left them this hotel. Beautiful.
Okay.
But they were clueless, right? They were all in shock. Of course, they were still grieving, which was one reason they wanted to talk to me as a grief counselor since forever. But I know, I
Right.
think we used our team as the prop.
And perfect.
I thought of it until you said.
Yes.
PowerPoint. Because they revealed that they were having problems with staff. And I said something about, when's the last time you had a staff meeting? And they were like, we've never had a staff meeting before. So we demonstrated for them how to have a staff meeting from my mediation training, where everyone's on the same side of the table and the problem is the problem. If the people aren't the problem, we're working it. We're all on the same team.
Perfect.
We're working the problem. We did it for them.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
but I think I show up a lot of grief conferences. I speak in grief conferences across the country. I don't take anything. I never thought of it.
Well, some of the things that I would suggest for grief conferencing, okay? Flowers.
Oh.
Flowers that bloom. For grief counts, or for those that are in grief, there's times they're just ready to bloom again. Maybe have them in different stages. You can have those that are just in a bud form. And because we're closed off, and as you expand it, and this is what happens, this is what God does in your life, and this is, with his son and all of this happens, and ultimately we become the open flower again, where our life is vibrant and that type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, and there was, for entrepreneurs, you just came back from South Africa. Did you bring back any of the necklaces that are made over there?
We did. Central America. We were in Guatemala.
Okay. Are they the paper necklaces?
No, they're woven. Lots of little pieces of yarn woven together.
Okay. There are some amazing necklaces that are made I know in Peru there was many, and they take any type of paper and they just start rolling them together and they make them into a chain. And even for entrepreneurs, sometimes it's when you want to talk about something that's tedious, what would be something that would look tedious, and how you could break that down, even a ball of rubber bands, right? Have you seen them before? You can actually buy them where it's a huge now full ball of rubber bands, and that in our life we stretch and we expand and we become connected to other people, and eventually it's, you can have a couple different rubber bands and toss them out into the audience and look at them one at a time. What do these rubber bands represent to you? It's how you have to stretch and come back into shape in your life. But what about your rubber band with your neighbor? Is there something how can you do? Well, they could try to tie it together, or they can shoot it at each other, to get someone's attention. But you said, but what would happen if, starting with your rubber band, you just kind of made it into a little ball, and then you wrap the next person next to you and the next person next to you, and then pretty soon you have this whole ball of rubber bands. And then when you start bouncing it, imagine what the power that you have in your hand that started with just one of these. Those are things that help a lot with that as well. So
it depends on what our message is. But when Deborah first started as an editor and she's coaching writers, I thought, wouldn't it be cool if the first thing that came to my mind was, the comedian who talks about when you get that pencil in kindergarten and it's as big as a horse's leg and you kind of have to prop it onto your shoulder and you're, trying
yes
of having different sizes of pencils and, what fits with them. And this is
absolutely
great. Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to encourage all of the people who are speaking, and there's 4 or 5 people speaking at the conference, and plus 5 different breakout sessions too, to have
absolutely
some sort of prop based on their message and what the problem they're trying to solve. And yeah,
absolutely. All of this works. It all works. And just as I'm ending here, just to let everyone know that I do offer NACWE coaching bundles. I make them available. I love to be able to help those who are helping others. And so it's just my passion. It's something that it's just what I do. It is my life, and I absolutely love it. And so if you want to contact me, of course, Linda at livepowerfullynow.org. And if there's any questions, I want to be open for questions, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the share and come back to here.
So anyone popping in with the last question for her? Lillian, we hope you survived the dental chair. And we're so great to meet you. And Deborah said, great stuff. It gives me a lot to think about. I know my mind is, that's what happens at the end of these webinars. My mind is just whirring. You have
There's
to kind of
so much.
took lots
So
of
much.
notes. Then I have to understand my own notes. So thank you so much. I mean, it was fun. It was funny. I've got all sorts of ideas flowing through me now for the conference. I'll give you credit for them. So any other comments before we pop out? Okay, God bless everyone. Let me pray us out really quickly. We're just a minute over. You can hang with me for just a minute. Father God, thank you. Thank you for just kind of opening up our hearts and minds to think of things from different angles. I know I need that. I need to think outside my box, and someone else's box is always so much so challenging and so full of perspective. So thank you for Linda and what she's offered. I pray a special blessing on her, on those of us who are coaching with her right now, and the process that entails. I just pray for open hearts and minds, and we want to present well. So we thank you for this very beginning of the month. What a wonderful way to propel the month forward with Linda's talk. So we ask a special blessing on her, on those who were here this morning, this afternoon, and on those who will pop in later. Lord, may all we do bring you glory and honor. And we ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. Thank you so much. God bless.